My brother stole my girlfriend in our home, mocked me and took it all. So I unleashed a secret that shocked everyone. I'll never forget the way the rain stung my face as I stood outside my Belltown apartment, the Seattle skyline blurring into a gray smear of betrayal. My keys jangled uselessly in my hand, the lock changed hours ago by the two people I'd trusted most. Inside, my older brother Ethan and my girlfriend Claire were probably laughing, tangled in my sheets, sipping the $200 0 cents sake I'd saved for our anniversary. My life, 3 years of love, a decade of coding, a lifetime of being second best, lay in pieces, some scattered in the alley where Ethan had dumped my stuff, the rest shattered in a showdown I never saw coming. I'm Jake Harper, 31, a software engineer who thought he'd finally built something solid. But that night, I learned the hard truth. Some people don't just take what's yours. They burn it down and call it victory. Let me take you back to how it started, because this isn't just a story about a breakup or a family feud. It's about the kind of betrayal that carves itself into your bones, the kind that makes you question every choice you've ever made. Growing up in the Bay Area's tech-fueled glow, I was always the kid in Ethan's shadow. He was 34, 3 years older, with a hedge fund manager's swagger and a smile that could sell sand in a desert. Our parents, Dad, a C-suite exec at a Silicon Valley giant, and Mom, a nonprofit director with a knack for PR, saw Ethan as their golden ticket. Ivy League degree? Check. Wall Street bonuses that could buy a small island? Check. Me? I was the scrappy coder who clawed through UC Berkeley on scholarships and loans, piecing together a life that never quite measured up. When I was 10, Ethan smashed my gaming PC, a beast of a rig my late grandpa built for me before he passed. It wasn't just hardware, it was late-night Minecraft marathons, my first taste of coding, the only thing that felt like mine. Ethan, drunk on teenage bravado, accidentally knocked it off my desk during a party, glass and circuits crunching under his sneakers. I cried, because I was 10 and it was my world. Mom waved it off. Jake, it's just a computer. Don't be so attached. Dad didn't even look up from his phone, muttering about Ethan's upcoming debate tournament. They never replaced it. A month later, they used my birthday savings, $200, 0 cents I'd hoarded from mowing lawns, to buy Ethan a new MacBook for college. He didn't even say thanks, just flashed that smirk, the one that said, "I'm better, and you know it." By 14, I'd learned to guard what was mine. I saved for a custom skateboard, sleek and black, every penny earned flipping burgers in 90-degree heat. 2 days after I got it, Ethan borrowed it to impress some girl at the skate park. He returned it with a cracked deck and a shrug. It was cheap anyway. Dad's response? Ethan's got a summer internship at Google, Jake. He's under pressure. Things break. Mom nodded, her eyes on Ethan like he was the second coming. The message was clear. Ethan's future was the family's priority. Mine was an afterthought. High school was worse. At 16, I fell for Mia, an artist with a laugh like summer and sketches that made my heart race. She got me, saw the kid who coded apps in his spare time, not just Ethan's little brother. I brought her to prom, feeling like maybe, just maybe, I was enough. Then, I caught her kissing Ethan in the parking lot, his lacrosse captain jacket slung over her shoulders. He smirked, "She wasn't that into you, bro, just doing you a favor." Mia didn't even look sorry. My parents? They sat me down and suggested I learn charisma from Ethan, as if I'd failed some test. Mom even said, "Mia seems happier with him, Jake. Maybe it's for the best." I swallowed the hurt, but it festered, a quiet rage that followed me like a shadow. Danger followed me too, always tied to Ethan's recklessness. At 16, he got wasted at a party and insisted on driving Dad's BMW home, with me in the passenger seat. He swerved into oncoming traffic, laughing as headlights blinded us. I grabbed the wheel just in time, heart pounding as we skidded onto the shoulder, inches from a semi. Ethan blamed me, said I'd distracted him. My parents bought it, grounding me for a month. At 18, he ditched me at a sketchy Oakland warehouse party, leaving me to walk home through streets where every shadow felt like a threat. A guy with a knife cornered me, demanding my wallet. I handed it over, shaking, and ran, Ethan's laughter echoing in my head when I told him later, Toughen up, nerd. After college, I bolted to Seattle, craving distance from the Harper family circus. I landed a lead developer gig at a tech startup, pulling $85,000 0 cents a year. Not Ethan's Wall Street millions, but enough to chip away at my $60,000 0 cents student debt. My Capitol Hill loft was my sanctuary, exposed brick, neon art I'd coded to pulse with my music, posters from open-source projects I'd contributed to. It wasn't flashy, but it was mine, a place where Ethan's shadow couldn't reach. I kept family visits to Christmas and 4th of July, where Ethan would hold court, bragging about his $500,000 0 cents bonuses, while Mom and Dad hung on every word. My apps, downloaded by thousands, they barely got a nod. Jake, maybe aim for a role with more impact, Dad would say, sipping his bourbon. Then I met Claire. She was a data analyst at a tech meetup, all sharp wit and hazel eyes that sparkled when she talked about neural networks. We bonded over my latest project, an AI-driven app for optimizing urban traffic. You see patterns nobody else does, she said, her smile making my chest ache. For the first time, I felt seen, not as Ethan's lesser half, but as Jake, coder, dreamer, maybe even enough. We dated for 3 years, moving into a chic Belltown apartment after the first. We split the rent, planned an AI startup, and talked about a future I could almost taste. Claire pushed me to pitch to investors, to dream bigger than my startup's grind. You're brilliant, Jake, she'd say, her hand on mine. Don't let anyone make you feel small. I believed her. But cracks started showing. Claire wanted venture capital and a luxe apartment remodel, marble countertops, smart appliances, the works. I wanted to bootstrap our startup, keep it lean. We argued, but I thought we were solid, just navigating couple stuff, so I planned a surprise to smooth things over. Sushi from her favorite spot, a bottle of sake I'd saved for our anniversary, candles to set the mood. I left work early, a first, humming as I juggled grocery bags and unlocked our door. The air shifted the second I stepped inside. 2 wine glasses sat on the counter, one smudged with Claire's lipstick. A pair of polished loafers, $1,000, 0 cents, easy, not my style, sprawled by the door. Then I heard it. Claire's laugh, sharp and intimate, from our bedroom, mixed with a voice I'd know anywhere. Ethan. My stomach lurched, like the floor had vanished. I walked to the doorway, each step heavier, and froze. There they were, sprawled on my bed. Ethan in his tailored suit pants, shirt unbuttoned, sipping my sake. Claire in her underwear and my old MIT hoodie, her makeup smudged in a way that screamed what they'd been doing. Ethan looked up, not a flicker of guilt. Back early, nerd, he said, that smirk cutting deeper than any knife. Claire's eyes widened for a split second, then hardened into something cold, unrecognizable. You weren't supposed to be home till 7, she snapped, like I'd crashed their party. Ethan stood, stretching like a cat who'd caught a canary, and slung an arm around my shoulder. His Rolex gleamed, a $15,000 0 cents, middle finger. Jake, buddy, don't look so shocked. Claire needs a winner, not a code monkey scraping by. I clenched my fists, shaking with a rage I'd buried for years. A winner? I spat. You're drinking my anniversary sake in my bed. Ethan laughed, low and cruel. Face it, little brother. You're always second best. Claire needs a man who can give her the life she deserves. Tonight I'll show her what she's been missing. Claire's laugh, sharp, mocking, nothing like the one I loved, hit me like a punch. She sauntered to the closet, yanking my clothes off hangers, tossing my custom-built server packed with 3 years of project data onto the pile. I've been settling, she said, her voice dripping venom. Your brother makes 10 times what you do, Jake. He doesn't whine about open-source principles when I want a real life. She grabbed the framed photo from our first trip to Portland, us laughing at a food truck, rain-soaked and happy, and smashed it. The glass cracked, echoing in my chest. 3 years wasted on a guy who can't even negotiate a raise, she sneered. Ethan kissed her neck, eyes locked on mine, daring me to react. Then it got worse. He pulled a switchblade from his pocket, flipping it open with a flick, the blade catching the light. "Get your stuff and go, Jake," he said, voice low, playful but deadly, "or you'll regret it." My heart pounded, not just from betrayal, but from the real threat in his grip. This wasn't just Ethan being a jerk. This was a line he'd never crossed before. I didn't think. I grabbed my laptop, external drives, a USB with family photos, and stuffed them into my backpack. Claire kept throwing my things, books, sketches, a prototype circuit board, into a pile like garbage. "We've got plans for this place," Ethan called as I stumbled out, rain soaking me instantly. "Don't need a loser cramping our style." My phone buzzed as I hit the street. Ethan's text, "Left your junk in the alley, trash pickups tomorrow, thanks for warming Claire up." I stood there, rain mixing with the salt on my face, watching my life dissolve into the Seattle night. I ended up at Liam's, my coworker's shoebox studio in Fremont. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a whiskey and cleared space on his lumpy couch. "Whenever you're ready, man," he said, his voice steady. 2 drinks in, I spilled everything. Ethan's smirk, Claire's laugh, the blade. Liam's jaw tightened. "Your brother's a sociopath," he said. "This isn't just family drama, it's evil." I nodded, staring at the ceiling, the weight of 31 years pressing down. I'd spent my life dodging Ethan's shadow, but this was war. The next morning, I woke to a notification on X. Claire's post. Her and Ethan at Shiro's Sushi, where I'd taken her for our 2nd anniversary, her wrist sparkling with a diamond bracelet I'd been saving for. Caption, "Traded up to the Alpha, never settle." Comments from mutual friends. "What happened to Jake?" And Claire's reply, "Some guys are just placeholders." Ethan chimed in, "Thanks for the hand-me-down, bro." Claire's response, "Barely used, easily upgraded." They were talking about me like I was a thrift store couch. My phone buzzed again. An anonymous email with photos of me at my office, timestamped last night. Someone was watching me. Ethan's doing? Or worse? I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks, my code riddled with bugs. My boss Priya pulled me aside. "Jake, your commits are slipping. You're our lead dev. Get it together or we'll have to talk options." The threat of losing my job, the one thing I had left, hit hard. Then Mom called, her voice all forced cheer. "Family barbecue this weekend, Jake. Your presence is expected. Ethan says you had a little spat, but it's time to grow up." I laughed, bitter. "A spat? He slept with Claire in our bed, Mom." Silence, then, "Well, honey, Claire's probably better suited for Ethan's lifestyle. You'll find someone. More your speed." I hung up, my hands shaking with a fury I didn't know I could feel. The barbecue was a mistake, but I went, some masochistic part of me needing to see how far they'd push it. Ethan and Claire sat at the head of the table, her wearing a necklace that cost more than my rent. Mom gushed about their new $1,200,000 0 cents penthouse in the building I'd shown Claire, where I'd planned to propose. "Gotta steal," Ethan said, winking at me. "You know, the one you were always yapping about." Dad nodded, proud. "Your brother works hard, Jake. Take notes." Claire leaned into Ethan, smirking. "How's Liam's couch? Heard it's a bit lumpy?" Everyone laughed. Except me. I pushed my food around, invisible again. That night, needing air, I slipped into Dad's home office, his old leather chair creaking under me. I bumped his mouse, waking his computer, classic Dad, never logging out. An email caught my eye. Compliance audit Q4. Urgent. It was between Ethan and a compliance officer, Linda Carter. His replies were slick, dismissive, but something felt off. I dug deeper, heart racing. Dad's inbox was a mess, thousands of emails, but I found gold. Client statements Ethan had sent to print with formatting glitches only a coder's eye would catch. Misaligned fonts, inconsistent headers. Then, a bombshell. 2 PDFs labeled Thompson Official and Thompson Actual. Same client, same date, wildly different balances. $1,200,000 0 cents. Ethan was cooking the books, skimming millions from clients, mostly elderly, who wouldn't notice. I kept digging, pulse hammering. Emails showed Ethan targeting vulnerable clients, forging signatures, funneling money to offshore accounts. Worse, He'd convinced our parents to sink their $600,000 0-cents retirement fund into his scam. My own family bled dry. I was about to close out when Ethan appeared in the doorway, eyes narrowing. "What the hell are you doing?" he growled, slamming the laptop shut, his hand brushing the knife in his pocket. "Snoop again. And you're done, Jake." Done. My blood ran cold, but I mumbled an excuse and bolted, the truth burning in my chest. Days later, Sarah, Claire's co-worker, showed up at Liam's, nervous. "You deserve to know," she said, voice low. Ethan and Claire had been hooking up for 10 months, Claire bragging about upgrading to Ethan's wealth. Worse, Ethan had targeted Sarah's uncle, a retiree, draining his savings. "He laughed about screwing you over," Sarah said. "Said it's tradition to take what's yours." Then she dropped the real bomb. Ethan was planning to flee to Dubai. $3,500,000, 0 cents, already stashed offshore. I thanked her, my mind spinning. This wasn't just personal anymore, it was criminal, and I was the only one who could stop it. That night, I got another anonymous email, a grainy photo of me leaving Liam's with a message, "Stop digging or you won't walk away." My hands shook, but I didn't stop. I bought a burner laptop with cash, used a VPN at a random coffee shop, and spent days compiling evidence, forged statements, transaction logs, emails about Dubai. I sent 3 anonymous packages to the SEC, the FBI, and Linda Carter, each tailored to look unrelated, my tracks covered. Then I waited, heart in my throat, knowing Ethan's reach went deeper than I'd imagined. 17 days later, Liam burst in, phone in hand. "Dude, check the news." Ethan's face was plastered across CNN. Hedge fund star arrested in $10 0 cents M fraud scandal. Handcuffs, no smirk. My phone blew up. Claire screaming about frozen accounts, Mom begging me to fix Ethan's misunderstanding, Dad accusing me of stealing documents. I didn't answer. I'd carried their weight too long. I poured a whiskey, sat on Liam's balcony, and let the Seattle rain wash it all away. Ethan had taken everything, my love, my home, my family, but I'd taken something back, the truth. And I wasn't done yet. The Seattle rain hadn't let up, hammering Liam's studio window like it wanted to break through. I sat on his lumpy couch, the whiskey he'd poured me hours ago untouched, its amber glow mocking my unraveling life. My phone buzzed relentlessly, Claire's panicked voicemails, Mom's tearful pleas, Dad's accusations, but I couldn't face them. Not yet. Ethan's arrest played on a loop in my head, his smug face and handcuffs splashed across CNN, but it wasn't enough. I'd exposed his $10 million 0 cents fraud, but the cost was everything. My home, my love, my family. I'm Jake Harper, and I'd spent 31 years letting my brother Ethan take what was mine. But this time, I wasn't just fighting for me. I was fighting for everyone he'd crushed. And I was just getting started. Liam shuffled in from his tiny kitchen, tossing me a soda. "You look like you're planning a heist, man," he said, half joking, his eyes scanning my face. He wasn't wrong. My burner laptop sat open, encrypted files glowing on the screen, evidence of Ethan's crimes meticulously organized, forged client statements, offshore account transfers, emails about his escape to Dubai. I'd sent anonymous tips to the SEC, FBI, and his firm's compliance officer, Linda Carter, but the game wasn't over. Ethan's prison letter slipped under Liam's door last night, burned in my pocket. "Little brother, you think you've won? I've got friends who'll make you regret this. $500, 0 cents for commissary, or they'll find you." No apology, just a threat, and a chilling hint of connections I hadn't anticipated. I crumpled the letter, my pulse racing. "He's not done, Liam," I said, voice low. "He's got people watching me." Liam's brow furrowed. "Like, what, mob stuff? Your brother's a Wall Street prick, not Tony Soprano." I shook my head, showing him the anonymous email from days ago, grainy photos of me at my office, timestamped the night I was evicted. "This isn't just Ethan," I said. "He's tied to someone bigger." Liam leaned back, whistling. "You need to disappear, Jake. Lay low till the feds sort this out." But disappearing wasn't my style anymore. I'd spent my life hiding from Ethan's shadow. This time, I'd face it head on. Work was a minefield. My boss, Priya, had given me a week to get my shit together after my code started glitching, but every keystroke felt like wading through mud. I couldn't focus, not with Ethan's threats looming and Claire's ex-post haunting me. Traded up to the Alpha, never settle. Her words, paired with that diamond bracelet, twisted the knife deeper. Friends, people I'd thought were mine, flooded my DMs, some shocked, others fishing for gossip. Claire's replies were brutal. Some guys are just placeholders. Ethan's comment, "Thanks for the hand-me-down, bro," got hundreds of likes. I deleted the app, but the humiliation clung like damp clothes. Then came the barbecue. Mom's voice had been sharp on the phone, insisting I show up to their Mercer Island mansion for a family reset. "Ethan says it was a misunderstanding, Jake. Be an adult." I laughed, bitter. "He slept with Claire in our bed, Mom. He stole your retirement." Silence. Then, "Claire's better suited for his lifestyle. You'll find someone else." I went anyway, driven by a need to see how far they'd push the lie. The backyard was a grotesque display of denial. Dad grilling steaks, Mom fussing over Ethan and Claire like they were royalty, Claire's new necklace glinting like a trophy. They announced their $1,200,000 0-cents penthouse purchase, the one I'd shown Claire, my dream for us. And Mom beamed. "Isn't it wonderful, Jake? Ethan's settling down." Dad nodded. "Work hard like your brother, son." Claire smirked, leaning into Ethan. "How's Liam's couch? Lumpy?" I choked down my rage, but danger found me on the drive home. On a steep Capitol Hill descent, my brakes failed, my car careening toward a guardrail. I yanked the e-brake, skidding to a stop inches from the drop. A mechanic later confirmed sabotage, sliced brake lines clean and deliberate. "Someone wanted you dead," he said, eyes wide. I knew who. Ethan's vendetta wasn't just personal, it was lethal. Back at Liam's, I barely slept, jumping at every creak, the tracking device I'd found under my car's bumper, a sleek GPS unit sitting on the coffee table like a ticking bomb. Sarah's visit the next day changed everything. She was Claire's coworker, a paralegal with a nervous edge, her hands twisting as she sat on Liam's couch. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered, "but you need to know." Ethan and Claire's affair wasn't a fling. It had been going for 10 months, Claire bragging about trading up to Ethan's wealth at the law firm. Worse, Ethan had targeted Sarah's uncle, a retiree with early dementia, draining his $400,000 0-cent savings into his Ponzi scheme. "He laughed about screwing you over," Sarah said, eyes hard. "Said it's tradition to take what's yours." She hesitated, then dropped the bomb. Claire knew about the fraud. She helped him hide it, fudging documents at the firm. My stomach twisted. Claire wasn't just a betrayer, she was complicit. I overheard Ethan's arrogance myself, days later, sneaking into my parents' house to grab tax documents for a new apartment. Ethan was in the kitchen, on the phone, oblivious to me in the hall. "Easiest con I've ever pulled," he bragged, voice dripping with contempt. "These old geezers don't check their statements. I've got $3,500,000 0-cents stashed in Dubai already. Linda's sniffing around, but I'll be gone before she connects the dots." He laughed, then added, "Claire, she's a trophy, nothing more. Once I'm sipping cocktails in the Emirates, she's history." My blood boiled, but his next words froze me. "Jake? That loser's too spineless to fight back, always has been." I slipped out, heart pounding, knowing I had to act fast. Danger hit again that night. In a dim parking garage near my office, 2 thugs cornered me, their faces shadowed under hoods. "Drop the snooping, Harper," one growled, slamming me against my car, pain exploding in my ribs. "Or next time, you don't walk away." I swung my laptop bag, catching one in the jaw, and sprinted to the street, their footsteps echoing behind me. I made it to a crowded diner, collapsing at the counter, bruised but alive. Ethan's reach was deeper than I'd imagined. Hired muscle, maybe tied to the friends in his letter. I wasn't just fighting a brother, I was up against a network. I went dark after that, buying a burner laptop with cash from a Best Buy 2 towns over, using public Wi-Fi at a dive bar to compile evidence. I worked like a man possessed, cross-referencing Ethan's emails, forging a timeline of his fraud, $10 million 0 cents siphoned from 24 clients, mostly elderly, through fake fees and doctored statements. I found proof he'd drained our parents' $600,000 0 cents retirement fund, funneling it into his offshore accounts. The kicker? A draft email to a Dubai broker, dated next week, detailing his escape plan. I sent 3 anonymous packages, SEC, FBI, Linda Carter, each formatted differently, no trace back to me. But the tracking device on my car haunted me. Someone was still watching. The news broke 17 days later, Liam shaking me awake with his phone. Hedge fund star arrested in $10 0 cents M fraud scandal, the headline screamed. Ethan's face pale under harsh camera lights, cuffs tight on his wrists. I felt nothing at first, just a hollow calm. Then my phone erupted. Claire's voicemail, voice cracking. "Jake, they froze everything. The penthouse deal's dead. I'm pregnant, and I need you." Mom's text, "Your brother's been arrested. This is a misunderstanding. Come home now." Dad's call went to voicemail, his voice heavy. "Jake, did you take my emails? Ethan says you framed him." I texted back, "Check your retirement account. It's empty." Silence followed, hours of it, until Mom called again, sobbing. "It's all gone. Everything we saved." I didn't go home. Instead, I leaned into the fight. Sarah connected me with a journalist, Mia Torres, who'd been digging into Ethan's firm. Over coffee in a crowded downtown shop, Mia's eyes lit up as I shared anonymized evidence, screenshots, transaction logs, nothing traceable. "This could bring down half the firm," she whispered, scribbling notes. "But you're in danger, Jake. Ethan's tied to some heavy hitters. Offshore accounts don't move $10 million 0 cents without muscle." Her warning echoed the thugs in the garage, the tracking device, Ethan's letter. I nodded, my jaw tight. I'm not back. Danger struck again that night. Walking to my car, I heard tires screech. A black SUV swerved toward me, headlights blinding. I dove behind a dumpster, heart hammering as the vehicle sped off, a silhouette in the driver's seat too familiar. Ethan's build, but it couldn't be him, not in custody. My hands shook as I checked my car for another tracker, finding none but knowing I wasn't safe. Mia's words rang in my ears. Heavy hitter. Ethan's fraud wasn't a solo act. He had partners, and they wanted me silenced. Claire showed up at my office the next day, a shadow of her Instagram self. No designer clothes, just a plain dress, her eyes red from crying. "Jake, I made a mistake," she pleaded, hand on her stomach. "I'm carrying Ethan's baby, and he's abandoned me. You're the only one I can trust." I stared at her, the woman I'd loved, now a stranger who'd helped Ethan steal lives. Sarah's words echoed. "Claire knew about the fraud. You helped him forge documents," I said, voice cold. Her face crumpled. But she didn't deny it. "I had no choice," she whispered. "He said he'd ruin me." I handed her a post-it with a women's shelter address. "Get legal aid. File for child support when Ethan's convicted. But don't come to me." She glared, tears turning to venom. "You'll regret this, Jake. You're nothing without me." I shrugged. "I'd rather be nothing than your pawn." The real blow came from my parents. They showed up at Liam's, looking like ghosts of their Mercer Island selves. Mom's eyes were hollow, Dad's shoulders slumped. "The house is gone," Dad said, voice flat. "Seized for victim restitution. We're broke." Mom clutched my arm. "Ethan says you framed him, Jake. Tell us it's not true." I laughed, sharp and bitter. "Framed him? He stole your life savings. Check the statements." Dad's face fell, realization dawning. "We trusted him," he whispered. Mom sobbed, real tears this time. "We made mistakes, Jake. We favored him. Please, help us." I looked at them, the parents who'd dismissed me for decades, now begging because Ethan's lies had collapsed. "Remember when I wanted that coding camp at 15? I said, voice steady. $1,500 0 cents, and you said it was too much? But you bought Ethan a $4,000 0 cents dirt bike the next month." They flinched. "Or my college graduation when you skipped it for Ethan's yacht party." Mom's eyes dropped. "We made choices," I said. "You made choices. I'll help you find a shelter, apply for fraud victim aid. but I'm not your ATM. Not anymore. They left, Mom's sobs echoing, Dad's silence heavier than ever. Ethan's trial loomed and the threats escalated. A late-night call, voice distorted. Back off, Harper, or you're next. I traced the number. Burner untrackable. Then, a package arrived at Liam's. My old skateboard, the one Ethan wrecked at 14, with a note, "You can't outrun me." My blood ran cold, but it lit a fire too. I doubled down, sending Mia more evidence, connecting Ethan's fraud to a shadowy firm in the Caymans. Her article dropped days later, naming Ethan and hinting at a larger syndicate. The feds raided his firm, seizing servers. Ethan's bail was revoked, his smug facade crumbling on live TV. Claire called again, desperate. "I'm alone, Jake. The baby's due soon. Ethan's cut me off." I felt a pang. The kid was my niece or nephew. But I stayed firm. "You chose him, Claire. Live with it." I hung up, my heart heavy but clear. The kid deserved better, and I'd find a way to help, but not through her. Weeks later, I got the call that changed everything. A Silicon Valley unicorn offered me a CTO role, $170,000, 0 cents, equity, a chance to lead. I moved to a sleek San Jose condo, the Bay Area skyline a distant memory. Ethan was sentenced to 15 years for fraud, embezzlement, and elder abuse. His career ashes. My parents settled into a modest apartment, calling occasionally, their voices softer, humbler. We were rebuilding slowly, on truth instead of lies. By my 32nd birthday, I stood on my balcony, the city glittering below, a glass of sparkling water in hand. Another letter from Ethan arrived, prison postmark. "You think you're safe, my friends, don't forget." I tore it up, the pieces fluttering into the night. Let him try. I'd faced his knife, his thugs, his lies, and I was still standing. The curious hooks lingered. Was Ethan's fraud tied to a syndicate? Did Claire forge those documents willingly? Who drove that SUV? But I wasn't afraid anymore. I'd built a life from the wreckage, and no one, not Ethan, not Claire, not the ghosts of my past, could take it from me. I raised my glass to the stars, a silent toast to the kid who'd survived, fought, and won.